I just figured out how to turn my router table into a jointer, and I don't mean an edge jointer. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that trick before, but this is actually going to joint the face flat so that I can run it through the planer. This face has a rock on this side. This face has a rock going this way, so it's kind of a mess. And if you send it through the planer to take that out of there, it's not going to work unless you have one flat side to begin with. So we're going to joint this face here at the router table. Let me show you the setup that I came up with. The whole idea behind a jointer is you have an in-feed side and an out-feed side. And your out-feed side is a little bit taller than your in-feed side. In the middle, you would have your knives, but we don't have knives here, of course, we have a router bit. But we still need to create that height over here so that when we take material off as we come through here, we have this to land on. And this is really what's going to make our board nice and flat. So what I have here is a piece of 1/8 inch tempered hardboard. You could use like an 1/8 inch piece of plastic or something as well, as long as it's, you know, a decent enough size piece. But this is gonna work just fine. It just needs to be as flat as we can possibly make it. In the router table, I have a 1/2 inch straight bit. If you have a larger diameter bit, you're gonna be able to get this job done just that much faster. But that's the biggest one that I have for this type of operation right this second. What I wanna do is I wanna raise this up. I'm gonna drive this tempered hardboard into the bit, just a bit past halfway. I'm gonna shut it back down, and then I'm going to lower that bit down until it's perfectly flush with the face of this tempered hardboard. So if you use something like a block or something, you can actually feel when that router bit starts to scratch on that block. That's about where you want to be at. Then we're going to lock that bit in place. I'm going to use a scrap piece of MDF on the fence. I'm just going to clamp it to it, putting some pressure down. That's just going to help hold that outfeed table that we made in place. And then I'll put another clamp on the side. All right, so we're all locked down. I have the back fence, which is pushing pressure down on here. And then I have this just clamped here. This really isn't going to go anywhere. One of the more important things though is that our router bit here needs to be just buried into this just past the halfway mark. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up feeding material into it like that. So we want that cutter to come back and push into this material and create some resistance when we push that in there. So a little bit past halfway is all we need for this. Now let's go ahead and talk about feeding the material through. Okay, so my rock goes like this. What I want to do is I want to continuously hold pressure right here. We're going to turn this on, and when we do, we're going to hold it up against this, using this as a fence, and we're going to drive it this way, and it's going to create a little notch underneath there. And that notch is going to let us then push this even farther forward, and we're going to make another pass. We're going to keep doing that the whole way through. But here's the thing. If you don't pay attention to where that rocking is, all you're going to do is kind of mimic what you already have there and maybe just make the whole thing worse. So what I want to do is keep consistent pressure right here as close to this bit as I can, right? So pressure down this way. That's going to kind of let this piece back here be up in the air, right? Because there's a twist. That's okay. I'm not worried about that piece. What I'm worried about is getting this thing flattened out the whole way through here. And the only way I can do that is to keep consistent pressure here. We don't have to get crazy with this. All we're gonna do is just put some downward pressure here as we drive it this way, and we'll come back. We'll take the next pass and the next pass until we get it pretty far down. And then what we can do, I can actually take and use this side now because it'll be completely flat under here. And then I can pull it and go this way. So hopefully that makes sense. We'll take a look at what the whole operation looks like sped up, and then we'll take a look afterwards and see how flat and how nice of a cut it actually left behind. All right, so hopefully you guys can see the finish that's left behind. It's really smooth. You have to get it in the right light to see any kind of little router marks. I'm trying to get it in the right light for you guys. I won't know if this really shows up until I edit, but it's actually pretty smooth the way that it is. And if you took just a light pass with a sander on here, it would smooth it out completely. And if we put it on the table, that's probably in your way. You put it on the table, there's no rock in this thing whatsoever. Remember, this is the side that had the rock going this way. This side is completely flat. In fact, it kind of suction cups to the table, even with those slight little router marks that are left behind in there. So anyways, again, I don't know if it's gonna be beneficial to anybody. I think it's pretty cool. It's beneficial to me, especially because now I can use this piece. Of course, you could use a hand plane or something. Not everybody has a hand plane. Of course, not everybody has a router table either. I get that, but just another thing to put in your bag of tricks someday. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Thank you so much for watching as always. We'll see you in the next video.